World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She was magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is magic.
Well, greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse on the Soul City Network. Also listened to through WHCR 90.3 FM. Powerful time in our world today. And we're going to be sharing some information today. You know, my mission is financial literacy. My goal is to see 100 million people in this country financially literate, but more so in our community, especially the urban community where Black and Brown people are, to get an opportunity to understand how money works. And of course, to do that, we have a couple of tools. And the past few weeks, we've been working on a specific tool, the How Money Works for Women. But of course, the first one is the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. That's written by two of my partners, Tom Matthews and Steve Seabolt. And it's basically giving you the fundamentals of how money works. It's one of the top financial books in the country, over 700,000 distributed and growing. Why? Because we're on a mission to bring an end to financial illiteracy. And the best way to do it, you know, they say if you want to teach something, well, the key is if you want to hide something, you put it in a book. Well, this one is a simple book. So I say it's also a situation of where you need to be able to just go through and skim and learn. The more you know, the better you'll be able to accomplish things. So again, if you want the How Money Works book, all you have to do is send an email to Naj Enterprises, that's ANAJ Enterprises Inc. @gmail.com. Of course, you've got to provide us with an address. I don't care if it's a P.O. box or not, but that's all you have to do is request and say that you heard us on Access Wealth Nation and that you'd like a book. Now, the only thing is the cost of the book is read the book. That's what you have to do. And I would love to hear from you. I've heard from some of you already since we've started this mission in 2012. And it has been growing across the country. Of course, I dubbed myself and truly am the urban distributor for this book because we need to get it in the hands not only of our community, our children, but we got to get it worldwide. It's so important that people understand the basics of how money works. So that's one. But over 2 weeks ago, we started a launch of which I was able to speak at and introduce again the whole concept of financial literacy for women. Okay, let me see if I can put this correct. There we go. And so, again, two of my partners and associates, that's Sharon Lecter and Kim Schooler, near and dear to my heart. But how money works for women? Take control or lose it. Stop being a sucker. And so that book should be rolling out on July the 24th down in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. And so if you want more information, especially if you're in that area and would like to attend the rollout and get a chance to meet Sharon Lecter and Kim Schooler and yours truly, please let us know. All you have to do is send me an email again at Anaj Enterprises Inc. at gmail.com, and we'll be glad to be able to get you to the event. I believe that that's a free 99 event, which means free. And so, but it's the rolling out of the book. The book is paired with the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Now, I know y'all hear this word sucker, but the idea behind the sucker is the fact is, and especially now, I think we've changed the world a bit because originally when we started, you would walk into the bank and to the left and to the right of the teller, what was there? Candy. And what kind of candy? Lollipops. And what kind of lollipops? Dum-dums. Are they subliminally trying to tell you something? Well, let's take this to the next level. That same company creates candies that are called Smarties. So when people get the book from me, especially in person, I give them Smarties because that's what happens when you read the book. You have an opportunity to educate yourself without any pressure, with no obligations. And so it's to learn how money works. We also give on Zoom and through live feed. We have master classes. This way you can sit in and learn. So there's going to be a master class on July the 11th. I believe it's going to be at 6 p.m. and given by one of my associates, Ms. Stacy Robbins. And I would implore you, if you're really interested, to send us an email. Yes, we got to get the emails in because we have to set up the program, but we have enough room for everyone. I'd love to have the problem that I don't have enough room and for people to listen on how money works. Our masterclass is going to be, I believe, on concepts. So these are the things that we're passionate about, but more so I'm passionate about because of my years, 44 years in this industry, is to see that we can change lives, change the mindset. And so if we give a plan, then we can make sure that we're not planning to fail. And that being said, if you'd like a free financial analysis, yes, I said free, with no obligation, you can get one by calling our office at 646-375-2121. And what does that do? That means that you can see where you are, because the book talks about, it's called the discovery call. And so you'll know where you are, and then where would you like to be? That's what's called a roadmap. Is that we need to be able to find out where we are, what we have done. Sometimes we don't like the story, but stop being the secret situation. If you are suffering financially and need guidance, what better than to sit with a financial educator and figure out where you are, and then where would you like to be? It's like Martin Luther King said that the average person dies at the age of 18 because they stop dreaming. Well, we don't want that to happen anymore, nor do we want to really emphasize that. We want to emphasize the change of thought, the thought of we can invest the same way as the wealthy do. We can create linear and generational wealth for our families. We can put our house in order so that we can go on and be calm and not suffer from some of the illnesses of stress because we don't know how our financial house is. Or the first thing that we emphasize, of course, many a times and say, well, it's a mess. Don't call it, change it and say it can be done. I'm making a difference. And I'm starting off by sitting with a financial educator to help me through. And I know many of you say, well, I don't have any money. I'm not able to put any, don't go there. Let's go to the next, the real level, which is I can learn how to put my house in order and I can be financially free. It can be done without a doubt. And that's what we're here to help you. But at Access Wealth Nation, we give you that checkup from the neck up and get an opportunity to learn how money works and all the facets. And of course, I have different guests that come on and assist. I'm hoping that y'all are really enjoying. I'd like to hear more from you. I've heard from folks. I love the fact that y'all tune in. And I just say is that what you need to do is not only to learn, but then to create the action. And so that being said, is the whole element of financial literacy. I have the honor of bringing on someone who is also a financial educator. And I understand her background is phenomenal. Her heart and energy and passion is just with mine, that we're going to make a difference. And so, with no further ado, I'd like to bring on Amber Phifer. Hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi, I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'm so blessed that you were able to come on board.
Oh,
And
thank
so,
you for having me.
yes, I understand that you have quite a little history. Someone, little birdie named Jasmine,
Yes.
informed me that you have served our country and served it well, and then decided to add more to it. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what you really are doing right now.
So I originally graduated high school and went directly into college, but coming from a lower income family and realizing I had to take out so many student loans, I decided to go into the military because I knew that they would pay for my education. So then I went into the military. And as I was in, I ended up getting my undergrad and I just fell in love with school. So once I did get out, I went for my master's in business administration and marketing. Um, but I had kids and I realized um, I just needed a better schedule. So then I started subbing and realized I love school as well, working with them, I should say. So I got my master's in education and I have been a teacher now for 9 years and I am getting my EDD now in education.
Awesome. Awesome. So, a little birdie told me also that you are keen and focused on financial literacy as an educator. So, what are you doing now? Because I've heard something, but I want to hear it from the queen. So, tell me.
Yes. So I am a math teacher. I absolutely love all things math. So I teach geometry, algebra 2, but as well, I do financial literacy for students. Especially now in Florida, it's required. In order to graduate, you have to take a financial literacy class and pass it.
Okay, so now you're going to help me out here because I've heard some horror stories on financial literacy classes, such as we're going to teach you how to balance your checkbook, and there's no
Right.
checkbook. Okay, so
Right.
what is it the levels that you teach in these classes?
Oh, I do a deep dive. I know they give you a curriculum and say this is what you're teaching. For example, they gave me a book and said this is how we're going to teach it. It was checks and balances, but like I say, we don't really use a checkbook. We're in a day of technology. So let's recreate that. And what I do, I have them write down monthly what your budget is, what your bills are. And if they don't have them, I give them makeshift bills, like this is how much your mortgage is or your rent and your car note, your phone bill, and we're going to budget that way. This is how much you're making. We talk about, okay, this is what you want to do for a living. Well, let's look up what the average salary is for this career. And
Mhm.
this is how we're going to budget your money. And I tell them, well, so much of your money has to go into savings, and so much of your money has to be invested. So much of your money has to go here, and I actually give them grades based off of how they're doing financially, not just can you show me how to balance a checkbook. Um, I just want them to know that there's more out there than basic math. Um,
Yeah, but and the application of math, that's the thing. I
yes.
don't think that our schools, I too love math, loved it continuously. My mother said instead of ABCs, I was doing one, two, threes, and
Uh-huh.
quarters, nickels, dimes, just didn't deal with the pennies. you know, but for our children with this is to know how to apply it. They teach us things like mathematical equations, and I love it on Facebook, even the little challenges that come up about how to figure out it brought me back to old time school. What
Mm-hmm.
gets added first, what's in the parentheses first, and then to the left of the I loved all of that. But again, for most people, math is something that people shy away from, especially in our
Mm-hmm.
community. They'll say, "Oh, I don't do math well." And I tell folks, you got to stop saying these things. You got to affirm
Exactly.
the good. So with that, that's great. Now, I want to know how in the world, because I would love to be able to work with you in some way, shape, or form with these students. How do they get graded? Is it like they're able to maintain or they're able to save? What's the grid?
If you end up in debt, then sweetheart, we need to redo this assignment because there is absolutely no reason why you're in debt. You're overextending your
Mhm.
budget. You're trying to live well above your means, and just teaching them how to live within your means, how to save within your means, teaching them you need that emergency fund. You never know. Um, and I try to use my real life as an example to them. I'll say, oh, well, you um, accrued this debt. So, how are we going to take care of this? I dive deep and let them know that you're going to get graded based on how you were able to put so much money aside, or are you behind on these bills, or like, yes, it's
That
very
is so awesome. That's what we need to know. It's what I do in teaching. I do the 7 money milestones, like you just mentioned. And the first one is financial education. So I get them to read the book. But I would love, what age group are we dealing with, the students that you're working with?
the last 2 years I've been with 11th and 12th grade.
Oh, that's great. They're going into the world
Ex-
either through school. One of the co-authors, Sharon Lecter, she wrote the book Think and Grow Rich for Women. And then, even though I don't think she didn't get the proper credit, she also co-wrote with Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Poor Dad.
oh.
Yes, she did both of those. Like I said, sometimes we as women, we don't always
Mm-hmm.
get our credits and our accolades, but it's okay. But her thing was that, with the credit cards, that they were at the high school waiting with bated breath to get the
Mm-hmm.
18-year-olds like piranhas and get them in debt. And I never forget, this has been umpteen years ago, while I was working on Wall Street, and I had a young woman to come, and we were doing a financial strategy, and she had so much debt. And I was like,
Mm.
how did you do this? And she says, well, when I came out of school, they gave me a credit card. And then they gave me another credit card. And I never forget, she says, I had three credit cards. And I used them to buy my books at college
Mm.
and things that I thought I needed, like a new purse or some shoes. The only problem is, she said, I didn't know I was supposed to pay that back.
Oh, yes.
And so I was like, it didn't dawn on you what you thought this was free money? And she said, yeah. They said, you see, getting our children by the hanger there is that, yeah, I thought that this was just something they wanted me to start spending. And I said, yeah, but they want the
Want you to pay it
money.
back.
And that's where I teach people the rule of 72, how money compounds, but also how your debt can compound. So this
Hmm.
is all in so important. And I love the fact you have 11th and 12th grades, because that's when we need to get them. I think we should get them when they just, how they can count one, two, three. Okay,
Hmm.
so one plus one.
We're gonna figure it out. And actually, I taught kindergarten and first grade a few years back, and I would pull out the coins instead of sitting there and we're opening up a book. Let's sit here and how many quarters are in a dollar? Let's do this. We had our makeshift kitchen or our store, and we're going to go buy. So it's a lot of, I say the younger kids, even up to I'll say about 10, it's learning through play. Make just play around, and I'll tell like my kids, if you see some coins, just put it in this jug and we'll take it. Like we'll just take it and we'll cash it so you can see the bills, and we're just going to put it aside.
Oh, that's
Just so they
awesome.
can see that money.
It's awesome. I do the jar thing. I say, okay, we get the jars and you get 10%. This is when they
Mm.
learn the math. 10% is going into the jar for your savings. 10% goes towards whatever you really want and want to
Mm-hmm.
save for. 10% you can take it to your charity or to your tithing. You can do that. And then go down the line of all the 10% or the
Uh-huh.
20%. And one of the things is to get our children to start to understand basic things like investing. What does it mean? I had a young lady, I was speaking to, if they were 8-year olds. 8-year olds can be cruel. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and I was trying to get the idea of what stocks really were. And so when
Mm.
this child came up and stood up, and I looked, all she had on totaled about $1,000.
Mm.
The designer sneakers, the socks, the jeans, the jacket. I was like, okay. So we started writing down the companies, and
Mm.
so to get them to understand, and this is even for adults, to understand that no matter what, you're in the stock market.
Yep.
Just how are you going to play it, and how is it going to affect you? A lot of people are frightened of it. So this being said, so how often is this like the whole school semester that they get this education?
It is a semester class. It is every day. Just like so they have 7 periods or blocks or whatever you want to call it. And one of their blocks is coming to class for financial literacy. So I start with this group this semester and we'll change and get a new set of kids the second semester.
So how do the children respond to this knowledge?
At first, it is a lot of pushback because it's math. And like you said, we don't like math. Um, but I tend to laugh and joke and try to make things fun, try to show them there's a way to have fun with this. And after a while, they're into it, especially like my older group, because I have a lot of them who are 18 and they'll come and let me know that they got this in the mail. We're not doing that. Or if you're saying your parents are saying this, okay, if you pay that phone bill every month, you pay it on that credit card and then pay it right back off because you have the money. Just trying to tell them, if your parents will say use it, although I don't want you to, build your credit. But don't let
That-
your parents tell you that you can max it out and you never have to pay it because I know firsthand what they did because I mean, where I came from, no one taught me that as a child. So I had to
Do
learn
you
and
have
grow.
any idea why the schools don't teach financial literacy or they minimize it? Any
Um,
as an educator, because I've asked this and I don't get it. Why, out of the things that we need to learn, this is one of the greatest ones to stop the madness, and yet it's not a curriculum, even when I offer for free to come in and talk.
so if I'm being honest, I'll say that down here in Florida, a lot of kids that don't look like me don't go to the school.
Mm.
They're in the private schools and they're receiving all of that information. But when you're at a school where the kids look like me, why are we going to push that? Because then we're putting a bunch of you guys in a position in which you're financially literate. And that's not what they want. I mean, it's Florida. We all know how Florida is. So to have a lot of Black and brown people being financially literate, that's not really what they want.
No, we wind up, I mean, when you think about it, we have, what is it now? They said it was $17 trillion that we spend on an average every year, but we don't get to keep any of that money. We're doing just what it says, we're spending it.
Oh, yeah.
So my thing is, and I preach to everyone, is about circulating,
Mm-hmm.
even to the churches. I'm saying, well, look, there's passages in the Bible that tell you about money, and one of them
Mm-hmm.
is about the talents. The owner of the property gave his workers one, two, and three. And the one that came back and buried that talent and did nothing with it got beat. There's a lesson there. You need to
Mm-hmm.
let your money grow, you know.
Yes.
And so, in saying that, like you said, it's the different communities. I went to preparatory school 10 years ago, and and that's one of the things, we had a mock stock market. We had to research the stocks, figure out how many shares. We all were given $10,000 to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it as I've gotten older, that those teachers probably made a lot off of our research,
Oh, yes. They definitely did.
because we were innocent to it. We were trying to make, the money grow,
Yes.
and the difference in what you can buy. All of this is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, as you're going through your trials and tribulations of getting this education out there, what can we do to change this? What can we do to open up the world of finance to our children?
We have to learn it ourselves first. I know plenty of adults. I am 35 and I have plenty of uh, friends or associates who aren't literate to it. So, how can they teach their kids?
Mm,
Um, and that's where it starts. It starts at home because we can teach in school all day.
mm-hmm,
Just like if we're teaching English, if the kids aren't receiving that support at home, it's going to really go in one ear and out the other. And that's what I've seen with a lot of my students. I taught them, they do well in class, and I'm like, they're going to be so great. I'm never going to worry about them. And then, like you say, something you said kind of triggered me. It's seeing the child with $1,000 worth of labels on. And that's what I see. Instead of taking that money, and I've told you, hey, invest. Do something with that money. You didn't have to buy those $200 pair of shoes. I promise you didn't. They're going to do just as well as that little $50 pair, and you don't have to buy those same shoes every month because it's the same shoe coming out, just a different color scheme. And I just say it starts at home, and that's what I communicate a lot with my parents,
okay.
because I know it's just not kids, and I know I teach 11th and 12th grade, but they're still kids, they're still young adults, and they still need that support from family. So I communicate a lot with parents and I let them know what we're doing in class and can you do this at home?
Mm-hmm.
And if you need the support, I'm here. I'm not the greatest. I've learned a lot from just personal experiences and talking with people and learning what to do, but I will pass that on to you as well. Some of my parents have been very receptive to it,
Hmm.
but then I've had some that's, I'll figure it out. I'll do it on my own. I don't need this. But I say it starts at home. That's the best way we're going to get
That's the
through.
true factor. And I'm almost going to echo one of our politicians who said it takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think it does because, like you said, and it saddens me that people really don't, or that they don't want to. I give free financial seminars and workshops, and where it should be thousands of people trying to get in there, I've got a few, maybe 50, 60 people who would
Mm,
show up, and then out of it, it's almost like when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, I'm going to do an examination, and then they don't want the answer. They don't want to know why they're sick, and the same thing is with their finances. They don't want to know why they're sick. But we've got to stop this because we're in some really serious times. As I was coming in and driving in to the studio, um, they just announced that they're reversing the affirmative action,
yes. Oh,
and so I don't think this country really understands that we did not start as a people of color on an even playing field,
hmm.
you know, and therefore, yeah, you can be brilliant. And especially now, I know when I was going to school, I thought it was phenomenal. You kept your 4.0 average, you
Yes.
uh, extracurricular activities, you showed
Hmm.
you were well rounded, and that
Yep.
got you into scholarships. I had a friend of mine 4 years ago, her daughter had a 4.3, which I was like, how, what? Okay, 4.3. And she was playing the violin, and she did community service. She was with the Girl Scouts and got
Oh, nice.
nothing. So, where is the even playing field? When you're now seeing students that have 4.10,
Mm.
how do you compete with that and still be able to, okay, I'm going to just lay it out. I am a real component of internships and
Hmm.
apprenticeships.
Yep.
I know it was done back in the days. The reason why at the age of 19 I owned and bought a tax office was because I was an apprentice to an accountant
Hmm.
in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And I do know that there are colleges like Harvard who are teaching entrepreneurship, internships, and things. What do
Hmm.
we do if we can get young people? I just want to know, what else can I do? We have a program called Pay It Forward, which is take the book to the libraries of the
Hmm.
schools. But then once you take it there, you still got to get somebody to read it.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking, what else can be done? You got any suggestions of what we can do to make this difference? Because if we don't become financially literate, it really, we're going to be annihilated. We're not going to be in. If you can't feed yourself, clothe yourself, house yourself,
Hmm.
and with rents, I know here in New York, I'm astounded by the rents that are out
Mm.
here. A three-bedroom apartment, $4,000 a month.
Oh, my.
Yes. Here I'm in
Ooh.
the Yankee Stadium area, and for a one bedroom is almost 2,500 a month.
Oh, my God. That's more than my mortgage in Tampa.
So you see, well,
Wow.
really, I'm waiting to get that opportunity to speak to our mayor, Mayor Adams, because I'm trying to find out, are they trying to make New York City like exclusively for the wealthy? Because the cost is astronomical. But if you can't do that and can't pay, I know a lot of families are grouping together now,
Hmm.
but still it's not enough. So where we going? I mean, the homeless population is astronomical.
Pretty much everywhere. It's the same down here. We talk about the neighborhood in which we live. We moved here specifically because we did our research on the schools before we purchased our home, and we knew that the school was very nice and it was very diverse. So we said, all right, our son, once he gets to high school, he's big into baseball, all of these things. So we said it's a beautiful school, great academics, and then we started moving into the neighborhood. And now all of a sudden, instead of us being this, we had a grade of an A. Now we're down to a grade C, but nothing has
Wow.
changed. We still have the same teachers and the same administrative staff. It's just the population looks a lot different.
Oh
But
my
what they've done, they've made the property taxes have gone up a lot. And that has caused a lot of us to move out because we can't afford it. And I said, well, this is where, thank God for the military, because I said I'm 100% disabled. I don't pay property taxes. So you're not getting me to go anywhere.
Oh,
I'm here.
great.
Um, but it's hard because a lot of families that look like us are having to move. And now the school is starting to look like it did when it was originally open. And that's what they're doing to a lot of these areas. They're upping the cost of rent or raising the taxes just to get us out of there.
That is so terrible. And the thing is about real estate tax, and I got a whole philosophy about real estate tax and who should be paying. I mean, if we're going to deal with reparations, I say, okay, we can stop asking about this thing about giving us some cash. How about cutting these real estate taxes out
Hmm.
and stop that because we done paid enough. But we'll see where that goes,
Hmm.
you know. But truly, it is sad that we still see this. This is 2023.
Hmm.
When is it going to change? How do we close that racial wealth gap? On an average, for every $100 that the other folks, as my friends call it, the pilgrims, when I know, I was like, when he came over there, I said, okay. But when they have their, like you said, the education system, the talking at the house, at the dinner table about money, instead of hiding it, and the words that we use with our children, I can't afford it. Uh,
Hmm.
we can't do that. I had a young man, and he was around 8 years old in my office because I think it's so important that we include children in our financial house.
Yes.
Talk about, be in front, let them know. Don't just say we can't afford it. Take them through, like you do, the budget.
Hmm.
Show them that we can do this, but it was a eye opener for me because he sat through it, and when his mother went to the restroom and I had him alone, I said, so what do you think about what you just heard? And he said, I don't get it. And I was like, what
Oh.
don't you get? Yes, it hurt my heart. I was like, what did I do wrong? And so he says, well, it doesn't make sense. Like I said,
Hmm.
8-year old is dangerous area. He said, um, when I get 18, I'm going to get the money card. So why do I have to do all of
Oh.
this stuff? And I was like, money card. Okay. So when his mother came back in, I said, he's talking about a money card. And so
Mm.
he looked at us in that 8-year look like, I
Yes.
don't know anything. So he went in her purse and got the ATM card. I said, aha.
That's where.
It's where we haven't joined the idea. So we nicely showed him that mom has to work and the
Hmm.
check goes into the bank. And then
Yes.
the bank liquidates that and puts it into that card. So there's some effort going on. It's a disconnect because all he
Mhm.
heard was, let's stop and get some money. You
Versus
see?
how.
Right. How do you get this money? How are things, and we've got to stop keeping these secrets from our children But we got to stop lying to ourselves.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of us, we're embarrassed. Um, and then we're embarrassed to reach out and ask for help. Like you're offering your services, but oh my gosh, I have to open myself up and let this woman see that I'm in so much debt. And is she going to look at me differently?
Ah,
Um,
good point.
so a lot of people, they are embarrassed to reach out. Like for what I use my personal experience, I was embarrassed at one point because I said, how did I allow myself to accumulate this type of debt? But then I had to stop and say, well, if I was never formally taught anything, I just went out and did these things, I need to go to someone who knows what to do, because if I continue to try to do this myself, I'm just going to go further and further into debt. And now I have this son, and I never want him to deal with half the stuff I've had to deal with financially, because now I'm 35. I'm nowhere near where I was, but it took some time, and you want to set that generational wealth up. So what I do now with my son, um, one, I'm very open with
Mhm.
finances. Oh, this is how much I get paid. This is, we can do this. And, we like to do stuff. We're in the sunshine state. So I'm like, all right, well, we can go here. The beach is always free. Um, I'm trying to what
You
methods
had
can
somebody, oh, Miss
Yes.
Jasmine Pfeiffer. You might know her. Uh,
I Hi, Jasmine.
he has a question for you. What methods can we use to introduce financial literacy to our children?
So what I tend to say, do instead of, they always say you get your allowance, you get chore money. I
Yes.
don't give it every week. We don't get paid every week. We get paid bi-weekly. So
Good point.
you're going to do your chores because this is your job. Your job is also to go to school and make these grades. I say every child's, that's your first job, to go to school.
Right.
Now you're going to take care of your living, your room, and things of this nature. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, you've earned your salary. Now we have to sit down and go over everything that you have to pay and what you have to do. Those 10% that you talked about. Um, so it's just teaching them different methods of um, how to necessarily budget, but just how to be financially sound. And so it really depends on what age group you're
Mhm.
talking about, because even as you get older, you start to give them more independence on, their debit cards or things of that nature. But I never give cash. I never
Mm.
give cash. And then another thing I also do, so um, my one of my oldest kids, they might say, "Oh, can I have this?" Well, I think you have a job, so if I give you this, it's a loan, and I want to show you, well, you're going to get this loan at this percentage. Like,
Mm.
now you're going to learn how to pay this off. And I even do it with a 13-year-old, because I'm going to
Okay.
teach you, when you overspend, you overextend your finances, and now you have to borrow money or you have to ask for money, it's going to be a loan. Now, do I
Mhm.
keep it? No, I'll just put it in an account for them. But I want them to learn that, hey, you can't look to mom and dad every time you spend every dime that you have. So it's just teaching them to stay and live within your means.
That is so awesome and so great because that we've got to start somewhere. I mean, all my life, and I sort of for myself, just self strategized.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, again, my mother and father, gave me what they could as far as
Mm-hmm.
they knew, coming from the South and from Mississippi, and it was about saving. But back then, interest rates were a whole lot higher.
Oh, yes.
The rule of 72, as many of y'all may have heard me a million times say, is can be our friend. But if you're getting 1% on your account, divide that into 72. Well, that means in 72 years, that $1 is going to be $2. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not very much to get ready to be able to do anything with. So
Mm-hmm.
we do have to teach those elements of saving. I think, well, let me hear your opinion of really investing. And what do you think about introducing investments to children?
I'm all for it. So I am all about learning through experience. So my son, um, he has two cards. He has the card under my account. Then he wanted his green light card, um, and on there it allowed him to invest. So he said, "I have this much in my savings. Can I take it and invest? Because I know that I can make more money on it." I said, "Well, are you going to choose something you like, or are you going to actually do your research?" Well, I think this is where I want to go. So he invested his money. He lost it just as quick as he put it in there because he didn't do his research. It's only like $5, but it was a lesson learned. So now he's like, I want to invest my money, but I need to do my research. I need to sit down, and he'll sit there with dad, and because dad is really big into it, and he'll say, well, I think I need to invest this money because, I don't want to be poor. That's what he just told me the other day. He said, I have less than $200 in my checkings account. I'm poor. I said, well, you're 13. What do you have to spend? But he's learning that if I want to invest, I need to go look at the trends and what's happening. And this is low right now, so it'd probably be best if I just drop something in there because it's projected to go up. And I tell him my undergrad is in journalism, so I'm always watching the news as well. Um, and he'll hear things on there. He's like, I think I probably need to invest in this. And then something as simple as hurricane season is here. Well, everyone buys a lot of water. So he's like, I think I'm going to invest in this because people are going to need a lot of water. So he knows to listen for certain things and he'll go and invest his money.
That is awesome. And for 13, that's great. I have been talking to parents. We have a system called the $1 Million Baby. And when a child is born, I really believe that our country started with children, babies getting Social Security cards because of this. Because I know I didn't get my Social Security card till I was 12. But these kids are getting it as soon as they go, that they got a Social Security card. And I see the difference. Like, for example, in the book, just to give you an idea, maybe this is something we can really grow on. If a parent starts at birth with 2,500. Now, we do these baby showers and stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to go to baby showers and hands. I got the first 250 for this child. And then I heard crickets. But during that same group, I saw the designer jeans for the
Mm-hmm.
baby. Baby candy, it isn't even gonna stay in it. Or
Mm-hmm.
and so, but if they did that and they put in $250 a month till that child, and then let the child take it over, that child would have
Mm.
$1,008,000. But if you wait till that child got to be, was this 18 years old and did the same thing, they would only have 313,000. So the sooner, the better that we
Mm-hmm.
start to get our and teach them that way also by example is so important. I think we have another question. How do you feel about teaching him to invest in the consumer products he buys?
Um, well, I'll tell him, hey, well, look around you because he's one of the kids. He doesn't want to fit in with everyone.
Mm.
He knows the value of a dollar. If we taught him nothing else, he knows the value of a dollar. He will find, oh, I like this, but I bet you I can find it somewhere cheaper. So he might not necessarily always invest in the products that he'll buy because he sees that he might be the only one with them. But he has invested in some products that he sees a lot of his peers at
Mm.
school. He's like, they all have the same shoes. So I know they're making money, or they're all wearing the same socks. They all want the Nike socks. They all want to wear the same jackets. And I just tell them, hey, make wise decisions.
Make that, it's interesting you tell that story because I had a young man, his grandmother was my client, and she was having trouble as he was growing up. She's would, you know, really divert him away from designer stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he really didn't like the design idea. And it was cute because she says, I don't know what's going to happen. He's being teased about not having the designer. So I gave her a little lesson, a little test. I said, instead, let's not go buy the designer stuff. Let's invest his money that you're
Mm-hmm.
giving him in those designer things, just like what you're
Exactly.
saying with your son. And they did it. It was so funny how it turned out, though. And I wish I could keep this going for all kids. He had Target stock, and he
Mm-hmm.
walked into Target, and he started picking up the clothes off where the rack, where they had fallen off the rack. And she's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "This is my store." I invest in this company. This is my store. And I think that's what caused, now he walks around because she didn't know what to do to really emphasize it. So we took copies and we asked for the certificate or the copy of what the certificate would look like. And we put
Mm-hmm.
it into a binder. And so he's like looking and he'll see someone's got Nike on, say, thank you.
Yes, exactly. Every time he's like, "Thank you for putting money in my pocket,"
I
and I said,
love
"They
that.
say something about it. Just tell him you're wearing your money while mine's is continually stacking." And that's what I
That
tell him.
I
Don't let
think
it bother you.
that is an awesome lesson. And I'm so glad that you are doing this because it's if you do it and you need to write the book or the solutions behind what's happening so that we can spread it around to tell
Yes.
parents like that how money works for children.
Hmm.
Something we've got to give, and I think that is very possible. It can be done without a doubt. And so we have another statement where we need to come to Florida
Yes.
and do some big financial summit for the community. Would love to do it.
Oh,
Um,
we would definitely love to have you guys down here. It's always something um, that they're trying to put together as a collective, and our community needs it right now.
I
A lot
would
of
love
people are
to do
suffering.
it. As a matter of fact, we're coming down. We're opening up on the 24th of July. We're rolling out the book How Money Works for Women, and it's going to be in Jacksonville.
Yes, and I have some good friends in Jacksonville. I'm always up there. I think you're about 3.5 hours away, so I definitely think I can make that trip.
Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna make sure you get that information. I do have something on Facebook about it, but you just get in touch with me. We're talking now, so I would
Yes,
love to
ma'am.
get a chance to meet you in person, and
Oh, same.
also let's see what
Likewise.
we can do to, bring this literacy to the community. Also, just as a note, since we've got this information, is July the 11th at 1 p.m. You can get the link by we're doing How Money Works seminar, what we call our master class on concepts. And you can get the information by going to SR Woodhouse. I put it into our, if we can, yes, there we go, SR Woodhouse at dot wealthwave at gmail.com. And I put Gmail 2L, so please forgive it. It was typing while I was talking. But if you want to be able to listen, you just get the Bitly. We'll send you the Bitly to be participating. But I would love if you can make it down there. I will be down there. I think that's Sunday. It is a Monday that the event is taking place at 6:30. But
Okay.
would love to have you and really see and get the book in your hand because they're going to be
Yes.
giving away the book and see what we can do to, because I don't have a problem going to Florida.
Yes,
As
ma'am.
a matter of fact, some of my associates, they are Black financial educators, and they're in Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville.
All right.
But I don't mind coming because I think also and I'm going to say it for our young girls, they need to see that they can do this too. that they
Yes.
can be financial educators and that they can be invested and be part, not just dribbling a basketball
Mm-hmm.
or being a video vixen or whatever. No, you
Yes.
can be a financial person.
Exactly. And still be beautiful because they'll say, oh, well, it's not the pretty girls that's, the financial advisors or they're the teachers. No, we still look good.
That's right. Hey,
Yes, they
got
need
it
to know
going
that.
on. I am very much very proud to stand. I've given my time and my energy, and tomorrow I turn 65.
Oh my, you look good and happy early birthday.
Thank you so much. And I am just ecstatic because I see another avenue for us to really get to our people. Before I leave this earth, we are
Yes.
going to be financially literate.
Yes, we are.
Definitely. So I appreciate, Amber, your time and your efforts and your passion. And I look forward. I will make sure that we get together on that 24th, even if the 23rd I get down there early. I want to get a chance to you to see what we're doing and see how we can work together. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on Access Wealth Nation. And I look forward to us working together.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so the audience, you heard, you got the opportunity, you have the ability now to, we've got a few classes coming, and I'm looking forward to us being able to get this financial literacy to the point of where people today, there's very few that don't know how to read. And so we need it where there's very few that don't know what to do with their money. I don't mind being put out of business for that, to be able to know that we have done it. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are watching Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse on the Soul City Network.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be lethal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.